What is up, guys? Welcome to another episode of This Is Not an Ad, a video series wherein we advertise the lives of students and professionals from the advertising world. I am your host, Bea Mangabat, and I will be with you today for this term's episode. This Is Not an Ad is brought to you by the Ad Create Society, bringing you entertainment and information from the finest students of De La Salle University, as well as professionals in the field of advertising. But before we get into today's discussion, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our social media platforms. You know where to find us. So we are now in our 4th episode. So thank you to those listeners who have been supporting us from the very beginning. And if you haven't watched the first 3 episodes of This Is Not an Ad, you can check them out on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. So I hope you guys could stop by and join us again today as we dive deeper into the world of advertising. But in today's podcast, we will be looking at it in another perspective. So I'm so excited to introduce to you guys a new set of admirable and amazing guest speakers who will be joining our conversation today. They will be uncovering their stories inside the advertising world, particularly as ad agency interns. So I just know that we're all too hyped for this. So without further ado, let's now begin and meet them. So hello everyone, Miss Chabeng Mendoza, Deane Nepomuceno, and Sophia Santos. Thank you for being here with us today. So before we officially begin, can you tell us more about yourselves? And how long have you guys been interning in an ad agency?
Hi, I'm Chabeng Mendoza. I'm currently a third-year comm arts student from, DLSU. And I've been interning at an advert agency for I interned in 7AD for a month and a half. And then I interned in Dantsu Jaime Sifu in 2018 for a month, I think. So yeah.
Okay, hi guys. So I am Sophia Santos. You can call me Soph or Sophia. I'm also from LaSalle, taking up marketing, ID 117. I was part of GEMA my whole college life, but I stopped lang this term or last term ata. And then I'm also a part-time content creator on Instagram. And I've been an intern in Giggle agency since June. So parang 3 months. Yeah. 2 months, sorry.
Right.
I am Deane Nepomuceno. You can call me Dean. My first internship was with Spark Philippines, a digital-first advertising agency. But I'm on the other, aspect of advertising. I'm with public relations. So I've worked with Haptic, and now I am with Umbrofi Singapore, working on clients na needs earned media for their campaigns, for their projects.
Yeah. So wow, it's nice knowing all of you guys. So moving on to our podcast, I know that a lot of listeners are curious about this. So I'd like to ask you guys, what were the deciding factors while you were applying for an internship, specifically in the company you're currently working with?
Okay, so for me, I was open to any company actually. But then, syempre, it's nice to work in a company that you're familiar with. And I was also looking for a role that I was confident with, something I have experience with, such as PR or marketing.
Sa akin, yung deciding factor ko is nainggit lang talaga ako sa mga kaklase ko who's doing already internship. So sabi ko, why not try also doing an internship? So I started with Spark Philippines. I was referred also by my classmate to them. So doon na nagsimula yung journey ko. So kapag nagsimula ka na with your internship, hanapin mo na yung, hirap. In a sense, hanapin mo na yung trabaho. Especially when you are earning with your internship program. Magpapatuloy na yan. Siguro yung deciding factor ko when choosing a company. Number one, yung laki ng company. So personally, my preference is not to go with big companies because I know that this will be a work heavy for me. So they decided to go with Haptic, which is a startup PR agency here in the Philippines. Pero ngayon, I just recently started with Umbrofi in Singapore. So it's a leap. So matututunan rin yan actually. So my deciding factor number 1 is kung ano ba yung work na gagawin. Number 2 is kaya ko ba? And number 3 is matututo ba ako dito? So those are my deciding factors.
Okay. First of all, deciding factor ko is, syempre kung intern ka, you don't really get to pick or decide what company that you wanna be in. Kasi syempre, intern ka pa lang eh. That would be, ang choosy mo naman kung first, unang apak mo pa lang sa real world, mamimili ka na ng company na gusto mo. Pero at the same time, you still have a choice if you wanna go into a company that accepts you. So, deciding factors is probably kung if you know that the work environment is okay, edi go for it. Or like, for me kasi nung una, wala kahit like, if there's an opening, apply agad, ganun. If tanggap ka, edi go, ganun. So, it's more on, if siguro napagsabihan ako na if that company is kind of bad, edi, I won't go for it kahit na may bayad or what. Pero if you know that there's something to learn from that company and you know na mame-mentor ka, ayun, go lang.
Wow. So thank you so much, guys. That's truly something to think about, especially for those who are planning to intern. But now that we got to know more about our guests and we also discovered why they decided to take an internship in an ad agency, let's make our conversation more interesting by diving deeper into their internship experiences. So can you guys share to us what your first day as an intern was like and what are your daily routines on the job? So we can start with Ms. Chabeng.
Ano to? No F to F or online?
Pwedeng both. Ikaw, kung ano yung mas, bongga na first day as an
So, nung F to F pa kasi, siya, syempre kakabahan ka kasi, malamang, kailangan mo pa magbihis, tapos di mo pa kilala kung sino yung mga meet mo, pero syempre may mga kasama ko nun kasi bata pa ako nun. Because that was like 2018 nung F to F. Tapos, ayun, yung nakadamit ka talaga for syempre hindi mo alam kung ano susuotin mo, kung corporate ba, kung smart casual, ganun. Tapos naalala ko pa ako nun, naka-heels ako nun.
Wow.
Tapos, ang nangyari is, kasi sila nakakalocate sila sa Makati. So, kumakain kami sa labas, syempre, ang sakit sa paa. So, ang sakit sa paa nung first day ko. Kasi nagkasugat yung paa ko. So, after nun, hindi na ako nag-heels. Yeah. Learning lesson.
Yun pala yung lesson. So, what an experience, Ms. Chabeng. For you naman, Ms. Sophia, how was your first day as an intern was like? And also your daily routine on the job?
Okay, same naman with Chabeng. Syempre, like, sa first day mo, it was scary, diba? So, for me, since hindi kami face-to-face, online lang. So, I was introduced to everyone. Then, I had my orientation. Kasi for Gigil, we have a weekly town hall meeting, which is Monday, Wednesday. So, that's where we share our favorite case studies, or also known as their ads. So, nung first week ko, I was just introduced, and then syempre orientation, and then I think I waited na lang for work to come to me kasi everyone kept telling me na don't wish for work, a lot of work, kasi ako, I'm someone who wants to do something, yung ayokong wala akong ginagawa. So, sinabihan ako ng mga workmates ko na mag-intay ka na lang, good luck sa'yo kasi sobrang uulanan ka ng work. So yun, I think while waiting, they were just teaching me how to plot schedules. Since sa accounts, we have to plot for meetings, ganon. So I was taught lang the basics.
So waiting game lang talaga. But for you naman, Mr. Deane, how was your first day as an intern? And ano naman ang mga daily routines mo?
So, when I was with AdSpark Philippines, my first day was orientation, the usual, the first week orientation, some training, with the tools that they use for monitoring or for insights. So my daily routine, number one, is to build and to build insights based on the different data points. So there is a platform for that. So kailangan mong use it. For example, you need to input ano yung target public, ano or your target audience, target market, what then dun sa platform malalaman mo yung what are their attitudes, behaviors, buying behavior. So some parang things like that. So yun yung naging routine ko. But also I do copywriting for the different advertisements. I mean, I think the client during my internship was Globe at Home, Globe Business. So I did copywriting for their website. So yung sa copywriting, yun medyo brain heavy in a sense. Kasi you will not do just one. You will do around 30 different copies for the website. Kasi iba-iba siya eh. Iba-iba yung landing page, iba-iba yung page. So it's an exercise para mapabuti siguro yung how you write or frame your copy. So yun yung naging daily routine ko with that part.
Okay. So grabe. Parang from that, you can see na Miss Deane likes to take up a challenge. Ang daming racket. So next naman, given that, what was the most nerve-wracking experience you guys had as an intern? So we can start again with Miss Chabeng.
Nerve-wracking. Parang, parang wala naman so far. Kasi enjoy ko pagka kunwari may feeling ko mali. Tapos pag nasabihan ako kung mali, hindi siya nerve-wracking sa akin. So, it's more on parang, ang saya. Kasi kinokorek ako, ganon. So, yun, parang kung nerve-wracking or pagka magpe-present, wala din. Chill.
Oo naman. So, parang you like the pressure, gano'n.
Yes, I'm into pressure. I'm like Janina San Miguel.
Ay, gano'n pa.
Yes.
For you naman, Miss Sophia, do you agree with Miss Chabeng?
Okay, magkaiba kami. So for me naman, everything was scary to me as an intern because you don't want to make a mistake, syempre. But then, I feel like the scariest I've done was presenting our credentials to clients because syempre you're the face of the company and you don't want to make a mistake in doing that. But then I agree din naman with Chabeng na when they tell you your mistake, syempre you're gonna learn from it. So it's not so bad naman na mapapagsabihan ka.
Enjoy lang the process. And then for you naman, Miss Deane, meron ka bang nerve-wracking experience?
So with Ads Park Philippines, wala namang nerve-wracking because I was not really directly involved with client servicing. Pero on the public relations aspect with Haptic, siguro the most nerve-wracking experience I had is with a client in London. So there's a time difference, right? And meron siyang media interview for ABS-CBN. Tapos mali yung computation ko ng time difference. So mali yung naibigay kong oras sa kanila ng interview niya. And it's very nerve-wracking in a sense because hindi siya makaka-attend ng interview niya. Number one, nakakahiya yun with ABS-CBN. Number two, with the client. Pero ang naging solusyon na naman siya. I mean, I messaged them 4 a.m. in the morning. Sabi ko, mali yung ibigay ko, ganyan. So, nasolusyon na naman. Pero, napraning ako. I panic during that time. So, parang, kinabahan talaga ako mali. Kasi, I mean, this is a big client eh. It's an international client. So, kailangan, tapos ako pa yung nakasign with the scheduling. So, mali yung computation ko. 8 hours, 7 hours. Yung difference, mali yung AM, PM ko. So, So, yun yung isa sa mga nerve-wracking experience ko. Pero kung pag intern ka naman, they are forgiving because they know that you're still learning naman. They understand that you make some mistakes. And I think naman, in that, sa Twitter, parang nag-trending yun in some time this year, na yung mga intern experience na it's normal to experience failure or mga epic fails when you are an intern. And I think that's part of the process siguro, how you learn.
I agree. Sa mistakes tayo talaga natututo. So, given na yung mga nerve-wracking experience nyo, meron ba kayong interesting internship experience naman that you can share with us? So, can you also start with Ms. Chabeng?
Hello. Mga interesting, feeling pinaka, na-discover ko from ad agencies is yung mga agreements nila, mga terms and agreements with clients na parang, kung tong company na to, bawal kang magdala ng ganitong food na rival nila, or bawal mong suotin, gano'n. Or bawal mong gano'n. Tapos, wala, na-amaze ako. May ganun pala. May mga restrictions pala in terms of like clients na you get to talk to. Siyempre, yun yung conditions, diba? Ganun. Which is fun, gano'n, kasi you get to know more about advertising itself. And then, ano ba interesting? Sige, ikaw muna, Sophia. Isip pa ako.
Let's move on to Miss Sophia naman. Do you have an interesting experience?
Okay, sige. So for me, kung scary interview ng client or mag-present sa client, syempre interesting din siya kasi you meet so much clients and you know what they want for their company. And then also for Giggle, they're known to be crazy. Like they have crazy ideas. So it's interesting to know that there are some companies na they're super old school, formal, but then they're also open to being crazy. Like they have a level of craziness. So it's interesting to know that companies are starting to adapt to change. So yeah, yun yung nice talaga.
Very interesting nga yung ads lately. So, for you naman, Mr. Deane, like, meron ka interesting experience.
Unlike with Chabeng and Sophia, in public relations, hindi siya ganun ka-creative in a way na you have to have crazy ideas like Giggle. Kasi in public relations, we are more interested with media partnerships, with media relations. So, sa tingin ko yung pinaka-interesting with the line of the work that I do is yung collaboration mo with the journalists, with the writers, with bloggers. Kasi you will build network from this. Na even though you are outside the company already, kahit wala ka na sa company, yung parang fact na message mo sila, you collaborate with them for this specific partnership or for this specific client, madadala mo na siya in your future work actually, because the partnerships that you build with them is your personal partnerships also. It's your personal connection na beyond the company, of course, na kunyari, mayroon kang bagong company with public relations, you can also bring them with you. So, this is something na, distinct when it comes to public relations. Unlike in advertising, yung mga, there are trade secrets na hindi mo pwedeng dalhin. But with public relations, yung partnerships, the connections, your network, pwede mo siyang dalhin with your other companies. Tapos, siguro yung isa pang interesting dito is you will have a glimpse of how media operates. You will be forced to learn ano ba yung gusto ng media. Ano ba yung pick up for media? Ano ba yung interesting na angle for media? Kasi maraming kumpanya that share the same business, that share the same labanan kasi when it comes to public relations is narrative. Ano yung naratibo ng kumpanya ninyo on why we should feature you for a broadcast, why we should feature you for print, why we should feature you for an article. So, siguro dito papasok yung more on strategic aspect or more on creative aspect for you as public relations practitioner na kailangan mong hanapan ano yung interesting angle with the business? Ano yung human side ng business para maging kaakit-akit siya or maging attention seeker siya for media practitioners? Because the challenge for PR is maraming katulad, ano yung makakaangat, ano yung bagay na ikakaangat mo or ng client.
Dami palang learning opportunities, especially sa PR. But before we move on pala to our next question, remind ko lang sa speakers na you can add dun sa mga sinasabi ng co-speakers niyo.
So, may naisip na ako. May naisip na ako to add na something interesting. No, ano nga pala, yung mga, pag nakita mo, pagka mismong production time na, ang fun kasi pagka doon sa creative side, yung mismong gagawa ka na ng mga pubs or nag-iisip ka na ng mga ideas. Parang ang saya mag-brainstorm, ang saya mawalan ng brain cells, tapos yung pagkawala mo ng brain cells, yun yung idea mo, yung ganon. Tapos, ano din, yung mga, pag nakuha mo na, pagka-production na itself, yung mga artista din, syempre, that is very interesting, especially if the artista is good-looking. Very nice. Tsaka ano din, na-experience ko din with 7AD is yung mag-production ng nasa bahay lang. Kasi possible pala yun, parang yung i-connect mo yung camera sa sa Zoom, ganun. Tapos yung ibang staff sa bahay lang, tapos yung director, dinedirect lang niya through Zoom. So ang galing kasi possible pala siya gawin ng kahit na Kasi as a com art student din naman, ang hirap noon. Pero posible pala. So, yun yung mga natututunan ko na napaghahalo ko na rin sa course ko. Yes.
Parang nangyayari dyan sa internship experiences mo. But moving on naman to our next question, we're just wondering kung meron ba kayong stereotypes na you want to debunk as an intern? So we can start with Miss Chabeng or whoever's ready.
Okay, ako. For me, isa lang naman, which is, gusto ko i-debunk yung requirement lang siya. Na pang lang, yung need mo lang talaga siya para makagraduate ka, gano'n. Kasi, ang saya mag-internship for me. Kasi iba yung feeling na, may step ka na doon, tapos nabibuild mo na yung portfolio mo, tapos kung sino-sino na nami-meet mo outside your school. Iba din yung dating na may nakaka-work ka na talaga, na nandun ka na sa mismong company. Ganon. Tapos parang gusto ko lang sabihin sa mga, feeling nila na required to, kailangan ko mag-apply, kailangan ko gawa ng cover letter, ganyan. Parang, wala, ang saya kaya mag-send ng email. Tapos either i-ghost ka nila, di ka na replyan or re-replyan ka nila, interview ka nila, tapos tatanggapan ka nila. Wala, masaya mag-explore. Kasi, minsan, usually, kung 20 ka na or like, more than 20 or like, college or high school, mapapaisip ka kung ano gusto mo sa buhay mo, gano'n. So like, instead of sa akin, yung nangyari sa akin is instead of like thinking na ano gusto kong gawin, it's more on like send ako ng email pag natanggap ako, tignan natin if I'm gonna love this job. And from there, dun ko ma-figure out na okay, I like it, na I'm in the right path. Ganun. So, yun. Yan.
Not just a requirement, no? It's an experience. Next naman, for Mr. Deane, for you, may stereotypes ka ba na you wanna debunk?
Ako, I agree with Chabeng on that, no, na parang siguro kasi marami na iniisip na it's for requirement. Pero once you are in the program or in the real world per se, na nandun ka na mismo sa kumpanya, nagtatrabaho ka na, marirealize mo na beyond the skills na you will learn, matututunan mo yung mga soft skills na hindi mo siya matutunan in your everyday life in the university. For example, how do you deal with someone na how do you deal with criticism? How do you deal with pressure? How do you deal with responsibility. Kasi sa pag-internship program, you already have the weight of responsibility. So yung mga bagay na yun, hindi mo siya mararamdaman with organization, na youth school organization, although there is some aspect on it. Pero kapag nasa organization ka, yung mga small things na hindi mo mapapansin. Actually, di ko siya ma-name kung ano ba yung skills na yun. Pero alam mong may improve mo in a way na paano ka mag-deal with grumpy client. With client na kung ano-ano yung sinasabi. With boss or, colleague na hindi responsible. Something like that. Hindi siya natutunan in the university. Although meron namang mga ganong experience. Pero I can't put a name to it. Pero yun. Tsaka more than the experience, siguro yung isipin nyo na lang yung you can use your internship para lumaki yung sweldo mo after you graduate. Because there are companies that count internship programs as part of your experience. And when you already have this experience with you after you graduate, you can negotiate for a higher salary. So if you are not that motivated na magpatuloy, siguro yun yung isang motivation ko na when I have internship experience sa aking resume pagka-graduate ko, I can negotiate for a higher salary. So for me, so yun yung isa ko sa siguro on the debunking myth naman siguro na hindi ka naman siguro main myth siguro na yung gagawin mo lang is menial job or menial task. Siguro hindi siya ganoon. Siguro on my personal experience, ko parang ka-group ko sila talaga. Naka-team ko talaga sila na I was treated like an employee. I was held accountable like an employee. So hindi siya about menial utusan ka lang. Yun. Hindi ka utusan lang. Talagang you will work with your clients, you will work with the job, and you will held accountable for that. Kaya there needs to be effort from your side also.
Truly, experience is the best teacher. So thank you for that, Ms. Deane. Now moving on to Ms. Sophia. May stereotype na you wanna debunk?
Okay, ang iti-debunk ko is toxic. People often know that agencies are toxic kasi syempre pag narinig nila agency, ay parang robot yung ang dami mong gagawin, gano'n. For me, I believe that every agency may sariling ways sila on how to take care of their employees. So I wouldn't say that an agency is toxic. And also, like, it's given that the workload will be hard and heavy, but in the end, it's gonna be fulfilling because syempre, you're gonna see all your hard work na ando na. So yun. And I also agree with what Chabeng and Deane said na this will be very helpful for your future na you're gonna learn a lot, ganon. So yeah, yun lang.
Ayun. So thank you for that, Ms. Sophia, and all the speakers. So with that said naman, moving on to our next question, what qualities do you think are needed to be successful as an intern in the advertising industry? So for now, we can start with Mr. Deane.
Sa akin, yung pinaka-natutunan ko from organizational communication, from communication department, with all of our professors siguro, is yung pagiging strong-minded and strong-hearted. That you do not take criticisms against you personally. That criticisms or yung comments nila with your work, it's not a comment on your personal quality as a person, di ba? Kasi minsan, ang tendency for us when we are receiving criticisms, kahit harsh comments, is that we do take it personally and mapapatayan, sasamay loob natin. So kasi kapag nasa advertising industry ka, hindi ka pwedeng maging ganun hindi ka pwedeng maging sensitive. Kasi you are trying to please your client in a way. Kasi the client, kahit na gaano kagaling yung creativity mo, if the client does not approve it, if the client does not want it, hindi naman talaga ma-approve yan. So, magbibigay sila ng comments, even though na sa loob-loob mo, pangit naman ng comments niya, hindi naman talaga tama. May mga ganong comments. Pero, you as practitioner in advertising in your agency, your job is to compromise also and to take the comments from your client and try to strategize again based on their comments. So, yun. So, number 2, siguro yung continuous na dedication and your commitment to the job. Kasi the tendency for a fresh graduate, I mean, di ba man ako fresh graduate, pero the tendency for a person having the first job is kapag napagod, kapag sinabi niya, ayoko na sa kumpanya na ito, may mga ganong instances lang na experience na ayoko na agad. May tendency tayo to quit agad and to resign. Kasi I mean, we're young. We want to explore more things. Ba't ako magpapakulong? Pero kasi sa akin, I tend to practice na kahit nahirapan ako, I will not quit. Pero as long as reasonable naman yung hirap na hindi naman siya outside of my job description, na hindi ka naman naaabala sa tulog mo, sa akads mo. So yung mga ganung bagay na hindi naman gaano nakakasagabal, pero more on yung heaviness niya, more on the work. I tend to practice na hindi ko isipin yung choice na resignation. Kasi kapag nasanay, tingin ko kapag nasanay ka, when you resign, kahit sa simpleng pagod lang, kapag nasanay ka to quit, yun na yung magiging habit mo. Magiging habitual na siya with your future job. So yun, I mean, kahit kung kunyari nahihirapan ka, do not be afraid to ask for help with your colleagues kasi they will be happy to respond to you also. I mean, after all, we are just interns. I mean, we are just starting with the field. We are just starting to learn. So there is no harm in asking. So I think yun yung kailangan na quality. Number one, strong-minded, strong-hearted. Number two, yung continuous passion, dedication. And of course, never afraid to ask questions and do not quit agad-agad.
Yeah. So take comments as constructive criticism, commitment, and to not be afraid to ask for help. Thank you for that, Mr. Deane. Now, for you naman, Miss Sophia, you have qualities that you think are needed to be successful as an intern?
I agree with all what Deane said, but to add to that, like, this is gonna be super cliche, but it's super helpful to have good time management, because as a student you're gonna be balancing so many things, school, interests, work, so you have to be good in managing your time so you don't end up overworked. And as for like me kasi, I have to balance school, work, and syempre content creating, and that's not easy. So for me, it's important to know which one you should, kailangan mong alamin kung ano yung ipa-prioritize mo muna, and then you have to work on it one by one. You can't work on everything at the same time because you're gonna be so overworked and it's just not gonna help you, and it won't be healthy for you as well. So yeah, yun lang for me.
So good time management and knowing your priorities. Thank you for that, Ms. Sophia Santos. So wow, thank you guys. That was a gainful exchange of thoughts. But before we go on to the next set of questions, we will first show you guys some clips of different advertising professionals who have already responded to the questions that I will be asking each one of you. So you can react, add to their answers, or share your own thoughts about it. So we can take this time to learn more about advertising in an intern's perspective, shall we? So are you guys ready? Here comes our first guest. So she is our art director at Evident Integrated Marketing and PR. Here is Miss Maggie Carrido.
What makes me creative? Parang hindi naman, I think everyone is creative naman, but not everyone goes into creatives like art or writing. You know, kahit accounts ka, creativity is still required. But what makes me creative? I think it is something innate na.
So that was an insightful answer by Miss Maggie. But now let's bring the question back to Miss Chabeng naman. For you, what makes you creative?
For me, yun, agree ako kay sa video na everyone is creative in their own way. Kasi syempre, unique naman lahat ng tao, ganun. So, ayun, parang what makes a person stand out, yun na lang. Siguro yun na lang yung mismong question is probably, Probably in the act of thinking outside the box, ganun, or more on going outside the box itself. You know? You know what I'm saying?
Alright.
Parang, I guess, if you imagine like a concept for something, pag nag-iisip ka for like a brand, or like pag natapos na yung brief mo, ganon, you can get your creative juices from something that you usually do in your daily life eh. Kasi dun mo mahanap yung inspiration mo. And usually that inspiration or wherever you get that juice from, yun yung tumpak. Sometimes yung bumibenta pa yung kung if it's a part of you. Ganun.
Creative juices that are a part of you. Thank you, Miss Chabeng. So, for our second guest naman, he is an account director in McCann World Group Philippines, Mr. Keron Sagad.
The word no means there is a better opportunity. So if a client would actually tell me, no, this is not going to work, I would think that, oh, there is a better opportunity for us to present another message or another strategy. And that material that we made could be repurposed or can be reused for another brand. And that is a better opportunity for that material to be implemented for a different brand.
So that was an interesting answer by Mr. Tiron. Now let's bring the question back to Miss Sophia naman. For you, what does the word no mean?
Okay, so for me, syempre, we know that when people say no and end of discussion, so it's denying a certain request or question. But then I agree with what the speaker said, that when a client says no, this is extra time for you to have the opportunity to change something or to make something better.
I agree with that, Miss Sophia. Now for our last guest, he was a former digital director at 7AD. This is Mr. Tob Castañeda.
So the most effective social media platform is the platform where your consumers are. Kasi it really depends on what your brief is. It depends on who you want to reach out to. For example, you want to reach out to lower socioeconomic class teenagers. TikTok is the best platform, most effective platform for that. If you want to reach out to new moms, new millennial moms, yung behavior nila is they like to consult other new millennial moms in a Facebook group or in a Facebook Messenger chat group. So the best platform for them is Facebook. So nag-iba na naman. Or if, for me, I can relate. I'm a new fitness enthusiast. Since naka-lockdown ngayon, I watch a lot of home workouts on YouTube. So the best platform for me, if the product is related to fitness, the best product for me is YouTube. And that's the best platform and the most effective is YouTube. So it depends on the consumer behavior of the target audience. That's why it's very important on digital to know what the behavior of your consumers are. And the beauty of digital marketing really is in the fact that it's capable of targeting people when and where it is relevant. So it's not a one-size-fits-all type of platform like TV where you create an ad and then the TVC will be shown in a channel where spray and pray lang siya na sana makita ng target audience ko. In digital, it's not the case because we can already target people based on their interests, based on their demographic. So for me, the most effective platform is the platform where your consumers are. So it's important to study your consumer.
Ayun. So it really comes down to knowing your audience. But bringing the question naman to Mr. Deane, in your opinion, what is the most effective social media platform in advertising today?
I agree with the speaker. No, there is no one size fits all strategy for advertising, for marketing, even in public relations. Although there are structures also. I mean, the Facebook and everything. Pero siguro yung parang the takeaway that we should get from this is when you are working with actually any communication intervention, even it's internal communication, external communication, ang mahalaga is to study your target public, you study your target audience. When it comes to advertising naman, there are tools present na pwedeng magamit ng advertisers for this. For example, you have Global Web Index, GWI. So, sa Global Web Index, it allows you to input the target public. For example, katulad sinabi nila, ano yung age range? Ano yung civil status. Single ba sila? Married ba sila? Single mom ba sila? So, nalalagay niya siya doon. And then, it will give you insights on their behaviors. It will give you insights on what are the top social media platforms that they use. So, siguro yung parang ang pinakamahalagang tandaan na kapag gagawa tayo ng any communication intervention, whether it's an advertising, a marketing program, a public relations intervention, is to study your target audience. Lagi babalik ka doon. Kasi kapag gumastos ka, kahit na sabihin mong TikTok, lahat ng Facebook, Twitter, lahat yan, kahit gamit mo, lahat yan naman talaga yan reach. Pero ano ba yung platform na makakapagbigay sa'yo ng results na gusto mo, na makakapag-fulfill ng KPI ninyo? Kasi kung hindi naman ma-fulfill yung KPI or key performance indicators or yung mga results or outcomes na gusto nyo, nagsasayang lang ng pera. And in advertising, in any business, you want to maximize your money to give you the best results or to give you the most successful bottom line results. So yun yung gusto mong makakuha eh. So again, aralin yung target audience, and from that, doon ka kukuha ng insights. Ano ba yung platform na best ilagay yung message ninyo or yung campaign ninyo?
Alright. So, study your target audience talaga. And yung Global Web Index, parang new term for me. So, thank you, speakers, for adding more insights to what our amazing advertising professionals have already shared with us. So now, let's dive deeper into how you guys view advertising. And my next question is specifically for Miss Sophia Santos. So what is one of the most important things to keep in mind while working with clients?
Okay, so one most important thing to keep in mind while working with clients is syempre respect, no? This attitude goes a long way because when you respect an individual, they will give you the same respect, and this will also build your relationship and your connection. Just like what Deane mentioned kanina, na with PR you have your connections na. So in order to keep this relationship, you have to respect one another and understand, negotiate, ganon. So yeah, yun na.
Relationship talaga is important. Now, for the next question, for Miss Chabeng Mendoza, what do you think makes content successful?
Content successful. If in the advertising world, it's more on the basis of reach eh. Kung na-target mo yung market mo or kung na-reach mo yung numbers na gusto mong ma-reach, yun na yun eh. Yun na yung success of it. And then, a part of that, if you make content and then people would react to it, that's good. Kasi bad advertising is also good advertising itself. Kasi na-publicize mo eh. So, it's more on, pag napag-usapan na siya, other than, okay, na-reach mo yung target mo, na-reach mo yung message mo, ganun. Pag napag-usapan na siya ng tao, I think that's the part where success is.
Right. So, true one. So, reach and getting reactions from people na. So now naman, next kay Mr. Deane. How do you check and stay on top with the latest updates, innovations, and platforms in the media?
Siguro the best is mag-cellphone lang kayo na mag-cellphone. I mean, you just lurk around TikTok, mag-lurk around Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Kasi dito mo makita, ay, ang dami nitong likes. Ay, ang ganda nito. So, makakabuo ka ng creativity. Makakabuo ka ng idea. Alam mo kung ano yung patok sa masa. Alam mo yung patok sa tao ng mga content. Alam mo. So, when you do content creation already or in ideation, alam mo kung ano yung klase ng content na pwede mong i-bank on sa campaign niyo or sa messaging niyo or sa strategy niyo. So yun, mag-lurk around ka Facebook, ano ba yung mga memes that are mabenta and for the people, ano ba yung mga tweets or ano ba yung mga causes or perhaps advocacies na pwedeng pasukan ng organization, ng client ninyo na pwedeng gawan ng strategy for advertising. But siguro, more on the PR aspect naman siguro. Always read newspaper. Always read media content, different news outlets. Kasi for us in PR kasi, our training with Mr. Carlo Figueroa, our professor for public relations, parang lagi niya kaming pinapabasa ng mga bagong storya ng business, general news, nation news, because it will make you aware of the stories na lumalabas. So kapag gumawa ka na ng parang briefing, for example, for earned media, alam mo na yung klase ng storya na gusto ng media na lagi nilang inilalabas, na lagi nilang inirarun, and alam mo na kung ano yung gusto ng journalist na to, ano yung gusto niyang kwento, ano yung gusto ng publication na to na kwento. So, pwede mo na siyang gawa ng strategy for that. Pero siguro yung pinaka-basic siguro is lurk around lang. Yun lang. Mag-cellphone lang kayo na mag-cellphone.
So talagang information is our biggest asset in this modern and ever-changing world. So thank you for that, guys. And I know that you guys have taken some time to reflect on everything that you've encountered from your internships. So now I would like to know, what is one thing you wish you knew before you applied for an internship? So we can start with Ms. Chabeng naman.
One thing I wish I knew. Siguro, ang cheesy. Pero to cherish the moments that you have while being an intern. Kasi, ang saya eh. And like the people you get to meet and the things that you get to learn along the way. Parang some people would be more on, yung excited sila dun sa makukuha nila, like yung sweldo, ganun. Excited sila doon. But honestly, it's the process of being there and just knowing that you're there to learn instead of like the reward. Yun.
So to think of it as a fulfilling experience talaga. For you naman, Mr. Deane, what's one thing you wish you knew?
Ako, I really don't know how to respond to your question kasi parang kapag nasa internship ka na, doon mo malalaman ano ba yung dapat mo palang natutunan. Pero sa akin, siguro, kung meron ako isang bagay na dapat ko natutunan, ay yung time management. Sana pala, ang ginawa ko before is, matututunan nyo rin naman in the future. Parang, it's para sabihin. Pero time management, parang before, wala kasi akong yung tracker on my time. Pero yung effective pala siya. Kasi I'm not an organized person when it comes to schedule. Kaya nga ako nagkamali, di ba, before. Mali dun sa client. Because I do not have, I do not take note na ito, 9. I'm not that kind of person. Parang sa akin, lahat ng task ko, halo-halo lang siya sa utak ko. Pero yun pala, dapat pala, nag-keep track ka ng activities mo. Kasi it will allow you to have, clear vision on what will you do, what will you prioritize, ano yung dapat mong gawin, what are the urgent tasks, what are the urgent activities that you need to do. So yun pala, dapat pala ganun. So when you are doing internship, especially kapag sabay with your thesis or sabay with ACADS, mahalaga na you keep track of your time, keep track of your activities para hindi kayo ma-stress, para hindi kayo ma-pressure. And yun, visualize, sulat nyo siya para alam nyo kung ano yung...
So time management talaga and taking note of your activities for the day. Ganon. Now for you, Miss Sophia naman, what's one thing you wish you knew?
For me naman, I think it's doing a research, learning about the company and learning more about the role, because you have to know if you fit that role and if you're capable of the task, ganon. If you don't research about the company or the role that you will be applying for, it's gonna be hard for you to catch up on a fast-paced industry. For me kasi, I only applied for PR, honestly. And then, tinawagan na lang ako ng HR saying, we have an accounts role open. So, are you open to that? So, I didn't have enough time to research because na-pressure ako na parang, okay, I'll just take that job. So, you really have to learn and research about what you're gonna be doing.
So learning talaga and so the background of how to do it, ganon. So thank you so much, speakers, for sharing with us your little confession as advertising interns. I feel like our listeners would also take some time to reflect on everything that you guys have said. So, but we're not done yet. And I'm sure that our listeners won't let me end this episode without asking you guys for some advice naman, especially for those students who aspire to enter the advertising industry by starting as ad agency interns. So, is there anything you guys would like to tell them? Whoever's ready lang.
Ako, sabi nga ni roommate to, go, go, go! So, go lang. Pagka may opening, like, go, apply ka lang, ganun. Kahit na feel mo, wala ka pang experience, or bata ka pa, or ano. Pag nakita mo, tapos feel mo, tinatawag ka nung company, ganun. Go, submit ka lang. Kasi, di mo rin alam malay mo, para sa'yo talaga yun. Di mo rin ine-expect na, yun pala yun. So, yun, go lang. Wag ka, or like, if feel mo na pe-pressure ka sa iba mong friends na ang dami-dami ng internship, gano'n, pressure din naman. Kasi lahat naman tayo, iba-iba yung pacing ng life, gano'n. Siyempre, your success will come din naman in your time. And everyone has a different time for one another, gano'n. So don't be pressured at the same time. And if there's something for you, there is something for you.
So thank you, Ms. Chabeng. Go, go, go lang talaga. Now, for you, Ms. Sophia naman, what's your advice?
Okay, advice ko naman is to thrive in the industry that is very fast-paced. I believe that you have to be resilient. Working in an agency is hard work. It won't be all highs. So you'll have your lows also. And when you're in that situation, you have to figure out how to bounce back stronger. So it is important also to be patient. Kasi being in accounts, you need to negotiate, compromise, and understand your clients. You have to keep your lines open all the time. So you have to be ready for that. And just like what Deane said, you can't keep giving up, because if you keep giving up, you're gonna get used to it. So it's important to be resilient, because in the end naman, you're gonna learn something.
Ayun, resilience talaga is important, especially in a time like this na very unprecedented. Para maging flexible lang tayo and adapt to the times. So now for you naman, Mr. Deane, what's your advice?
Akin yung advice ko, same with Chabeng, na go ka lang talaga ng go. Kasi in the different agencies or different companies, there are roles na akala mo yung advertising, yun na yun. Kasi in advertising, malawak siya. Sometimes it collides with other aspects. For me, for example, sa akin, I'm not really with advertising. I'm not an advertising major. Pero there are aspects of my work that are borderline advertising, that are borderline marketing. So, ang siguro mahalaga na advice na ibibigay ko from my internship experience is to be open. Kung meron kang, kunyari, sabihin mo pure experience, go ka lang doon kahit hindi yan advertising. Marketing experience, go ka lang ng go. Kahit human resource internship nga because this is something na pwede mo explore. I mean, we are young. I mean, explore ka lang na explore. Kasi there are different fields within the field of advertising, within the field of communication, within the field of marketing na madalas hindi naman siya nakikita online. I mean, may mga trabaho na makikita mo lang kapag nandun ka na sa loob mismo ng kumpanya na ay may ganun palang trabaho, ay may ganun palang ginagawa. Parang mas gusto ko yun Ay parang gusto kong tahakin yung ganung landas. Kasi kapag nasa labas ka, di mo yun malalaman at all. I mean, for example, ako, di ko naman alam na may mga accounts pala. I'm not familiar with ganong klase ng trabaho. Ay may kailangan pala negotiation. I mean, yung mga ganong maliliit na bagay na hindi mo naman alam as outsider of the company na malalaman mo lang sa pagloob. Kaya pasok ka lang ng pasok. Kung mayroong opportunity, go grab it kasi talaga marami kang matututunan. I mean, kapag labas mo ng university, yung mga maliliit na hindi sa mga ganong department, sa mga ganong klase ng mga detalye sa buhay, hindi ka na magiging walang malay sa mga ganong bagay. So kaya enroll. I mean, apply ka lang ng apply.
So yun guys, go, resilience, and grab that opportunity lang. So thank you so much speakers for hanging out with us and for letting us explore the advertising world with you guys today. So I hope you all enjoyed our little but very insightful conversation. So that's a wrap for episode 4. Thank you so much for spending your time with us. I hope you all learned a lot in today's podcast. All thanks to our very inspiring guest speakers. We also hope that you've got the encouragement you need. And again, if you haven't watched the first 3 episodes of This Is Not an Ad, you can go and watch them on Ad Create Society's Facebook page and YouTube channel. So to all our listeners, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave us a comment. For more updates, you can check out the Ad Create Society on all social media platforms. So that's it, guys. Wear a mask, stay safe, get vaccinated when you can, be nice to people, and we will see you again in our next episode. Thank you.